Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're all doing well right now. I know that it's not easy to wake up after a Clásico defeat, but in today's video we are going to be talking a lot more about the game and in particular about the fallout now. After any El Clásico defeat, you know there's going to be a lot of criticism. There's going to be a lot of talk about who's to blame, about exactly what went wrong. We're going to be talking here about Ronald Koeman. We're going to be talking about the criticism there that's gone the way of Benzema and Dembélé, of Pedri, of Ter Stegen as well, but we are also going to be talking about the bright sparks from the game, the likes of Ilaix Moriba, and things that can give us hope. There's lots discussed, all sides covered. So, let's get to it. Because I do want to start here, of course, with Ronald Koeman, who has come in for some criticism after yesterday's defeat. And I want to say, first of all, that will be absolutely no surprise to him whatsoever. If you're a Barcelona coach and you lose El Clásico, and especially here, if you lose the double in a season, we've lost now twice to Real Madrid, it's not going to go down well. It doesn't matter there whether you're Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique, if you lose this kind of game, there will be criticism, and Koeman will accept that. The question is, though, is it justified? The first thing that I would say is very similar to what I said yesterday over on More Talk FCB. I think Koeman coming out after the game and blaming the result all on the referee, I just hope that he's not going into the dressing room and saying the same thing, because I don't think it's going to help those players to improve and actually fix our problems by saying, you know what, you've got an excuse. It was all about the ref. It wasn't your fault. Because you know what? Yes, the referee was poor. Yes, decisions could have easily gone a lot more in our favour, but we have to do more, especially in these big games, and he needs to hammer home that fact. And of course, right now, the big criticism of Ronald Koeman would be those big games. In big matches this season against the very best teams, we simply haven't done well enough. We have not done well against the likes of PSG in the Champions League. Also, Juventus got hammered at the Camp Nou against a very poor Juventus side. You look at it in La Liga, like I say, Real Madrid now have done the double over us in the league, and Atletico Madrid have beaten us too. So it doesn't matter whether you're unlucky, whether you're lacking in some areas, losing that amount of big games, it is going to bring criticism. And the question would be, what sort of control and how much to blame is Koeman for failure in big games? And I would give you two sides there to that argument. Number one, I think he has to do better. And I think the Copa del Rey final and I think the game against Atletico, they are massive for Ronald Koeman because he still has to prove that he can find a way to win, that he can get the maximum out of these players here to get over the line in one of these big games. Because I think the argument could be made yesterday that actually Zinedine Zidane outcoached Koeman, that actually Zidane found a plan, found a system there to counteract what we were doing, and Koeman couldn't react. Koeman could not find a way to breach Real Madrid's defence. But the one thing that I would say in response to that, and the flip side of that argument that I would give, is what I said there in the match review. Where would we be if we had a top quality number 9? Is Koeman here going about his work almost with one arm tied behind his back? Is he trying to work on a system here, on a structure at Barcelona, without that final piece? We lack a genuine out-and-out goal scorer in that centre-forward position, and until we get one, for me, we are still, doesn't matter how well you play, you will still fall short on many of these occasions. But of course, it was not just the coach who came under criticism after yesterday's game. One of the players who was heavily criticised there by Barcelona fans was indeed Ousmane Dembélé. And I have to say, I wasn't too surprised about that, because honestly, he didn't play well. It really wasn't a good game from Dembélé. Once again, he was wasteful in possession. And the problem is, he kind of played in that same way against Valladolid. The difference was, in that game, he came up with the winner. He came up there with a match-winning moment, and that's the problem. When you don't play well overall, when his touch is off, when he's giving away poor passes, when he's not quite making those dribbles happen, you've got to do something else. You've got to back that up then with a match-winning goal, with a big moment. Yesterday, Dembélé did not provide that, and the question is, what exactly are we going to do with Dembélé? Because the flip side to this argument would be, well, he's not a striker. He is not a number 9. You shouldn't really have to expect him there to go and score goal after goal after goal, because he's not really a player who should be playing in that area at all. And I think the big problem right now, and the reason why we're not really sure how to judge Dembélé, is because technically here, this is his 4th season at Barcelona, and we're still waiting here for Dembélé to deliver on that consistent basis. We're still waiting for a 100+ million signing to really arrive. But obviously for him, it's not really his full season. He still seems to me like a player who's coming to terms with a Barca style, that's still trying to adapt his game, that's still trying to fit in. And the question would be, when is that switch going to be flipped? When are we going to see the Dembele that we thought that we'd signed from Borussia Dortmund? Because at the moment, those top performances, they're few and far between, and it is too inconsistent. But I have to say, guys, one of the most surprising criticisms that I've seen after this game here against Real Madrid is going the way of Pedri. I'm very, very surprised here to see a lot of criticism aimed here at a young player who has done so well this season. And I just want to say here, admittedly, he didn't play well. And yes, you can say, you can criticise his performance against Real Madrid. You can say, you know what, Pedri wasn't good. But I don't really think at this stage we need to be going any further. You don't need to really judge Pedri as an entire player, as his career, from this one game against Real Madrid. We said before the game that in big games this season, he has struggled. In the first Clásico, he wasn't good. I don't think he was particularly good either against PSG, but that's fine. At the end of the day, this is an 18-year-old. This is a guy that this time last season, he was playing in the Segunda. He was playing for Las Palmas, nowhere near this kind of level. Of course there's going to be games where he doesn't play well. Of course there's going to be moments where he needs to gain experience. But as Ronald Koeman said before the game, you need to play them in these games. You need to give them that opportunity to grow and understand this game as a player. And of course, the other question that I would say is, you know what? Is he feeling burnt out right now? This is a young player who last season was in the Segunda, and right now he's played over 40 games for the Barcelona first team. He's gone away with the Spanish national team. Is he starting to feel, you know what, a bit tired? I'm not really able to show my best level, my full level, because I'm not feeling so good. I think here Pedri is suffering some burnout. Ronald Koeman has to recognise that. And I think the other reason why a lot of people maybe are quick to sort of judge Pedri or criticise him is because of Riqui Puig. And I just want to say here, it's not Pedri's fault that Riqui Puig doesn't get game time. Now, for me, if I was the coach, every time Pedri came off, Riqui Puig would be the man coming on. If you're going to take Pedri off, Riqui comes on. Riqui starts a few games, Pedri comes on. I would be using the two in a very similar way, but for some reason, Ronald Koeman doesn't want to do that. But that's not Pedri's fault. Pedri is not saying, play me every game and never play Riqui. Maybe you could play the two together, but for that, you have to look not to Pedri, but to Ronald Koeman. Another interesting player that was indeed under the microscope was Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. A lot of people saying, you know what, once again in a big game, Ter Stegen, he hasn't exactly won us the game from the goal. We spoke in the build-up to the game about the fact that goalkeepers were going to be very, very key on the night. Ter Stegen, could he have done more from that first goal of Benzema? It is at the near post. He does get a hand to it. Could he keep that goal out? And of course, every time we lose a big game, the first player that does seem to be someone's turned on is Ter Stegen. But actually, for me, I think that's probably a little bit harsh. I don't think Ter Stegen was the reason that we lost. Yes, I don't think we can really direct all of the blame at him. But the one thing that I would say, and the one thing that really does disappoint me in these big games about Ter Stegen, is the distribution. Because you look at the first half yesterday in particular, so many times Ter Stegen there, receiving the ball at his feet, he just gave it away. And he gave it away in really, really bad areas. You look at the first 2 minutes of the game, he nearly gives away the ball so that Benzema is nearly one-on-one. If he gets onto the ball, Benzema is in against Ter Stegen, and I just don't get it, because Ter Stegen is such a good goalkeeper with his feet. He is brilliant on the ball, but in these big games, he just seems to go to pieces. I remember against Bayern Munich there, when we lost 8-2, it wasn't the fact that I felt he could have done more in terms of saving the goals, but it was that distribution. It was erratic, it was nervy, and I don't really understand right now where this has come from a guy who is usually so composed, so good on the ball. Where has that gone in the biggest moments? But finally, guys, I do want to talk here about something good. Yes, we can criticise players. Yes, we can ask for more from certain players in the big games. But one player yesterday who was absolutely a breath of fresh air, it was Ilaix Moriba. Coming off the bench once again in a really big game, really high-pressured moment. And again, he dealt with it easily. He looked at home in this particular game. And of course, he nearly scored the winner. It would have been such a wonderful moment. I think that's the most disappointing thing. And that's the most gut-wrenching thing from this loss. The fact that it was so close. Ilaix taking that ball down, volleying it there, looked to be on its way in. but it hits the crossbar. So unlucky from him. And I also liked as well, when there was a bit of a coming together, when there was a little bit of a scrap between the Barcelona and Real Madrid players, Ilaix was there. He was taking absolutely no messing there, squaring up to Casemiro, to Militao. He's a young player here, but look at the presence that he already has in this team. And after the game there on Instagram saying, you know what, I'm going to give everything for this club. It's given me so much and I'm going to work so hard. And he gives me real excitement and real hope for the future. And look, a lot of this team do. At the end of the day, yes, we've lost this Clásico. Yes, this La Liga title looks like it's maybe now moving away from us. But we have a lot of good young players that are going to grow. They are going to get better. They are going to get more experienced. And in the games to come, we will see that. Although right now, it seems difficult. It seems as though we've had to have patience and patience and patience. But eventually, the quality of these players will shine through. Ronald Koeman, Oscar Mingueza, you've got Serginho Dest, you've got Pedri, Ricky Puig needs that role in the team. You've got players there like Ilaix Moriba, and of course Ansu Fati, who will be back next season. And he could have made the difference. He is somebody who is clinical in a Barcelona shirt. We do have the quality. We do have the players. We need some additions in the summer. But what do you think, guys? After that game now, when the dust has settled, when you had time there to think about the performance, about all the different things that went on, how are you feeling about the loss that we suffered against Real Madrid? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. I hope you're not taking the loss too badly. It's not what we wanted, and it's not the result here that's going to give us real hope now in the title race. But of course, next weekend, it's the Copa del Rey final, a chance for some silverware, and a game that we simply cannot afford to fail in. I'll be seeing you soon with plenty more videos to come. And thank you indeed for tuning in, even despite the difficult result. But until next time, guys, keep those heads up. And as always, Visca El Barça!